This is the AKAI APC 40 Mark II. It's quite old, it's been in the market for many years now, and despite not being as flashy like Ableton Push 3 or some other more modern MIDI controllers, I still believe it's one of the best and most affordable MIDI controllers you can get to control Ableton live. Its simplicity and intuitive design led me to use it quite extensively to perform and arrange my tracks, and so today I want to share with you my workflow, how I integrate it into the process of making music, and share some tips and tricks on how to enhance the integration between the APC 40 Mark II and Ableton Live. There is quite a lot to cover, so let's dive into it. One of the key highlights of the APC 40 Mark II is that, as you can see from here, there is no screen, which means there is no any menu diving. Everything is hands-on. All the controls are here surfaced. You don't need to search, you don't need to guess your way around. Everything is under reach, and it's very tactile and it's a very intuitive MIDI controller to control Ableton Live. On the back over here, we have the USB connector to connect it to our computer, and it's also powering the device. So we don't need any separate adapter, which is also cool because it makes things much more convenient. We just need one cable that goes to the computer and that's it. And everything is already auto-assigned into Ableton Live. Once you power it on, it will pick up all the parameters from Ableton Live, and as you can see from here, it's also picking up the colors of the clips and the colors of the scenes, which is very convenient because then you can assign different colors that can help you as a visual cue to recall and know which clips are what. So for instance, here I have like different section for the intro or different section for the drop or some other stages in the track where I want to have a specific progress, and by assigning different colors to those, I can recall them quickly. Another thing that I really love about this controller, and I don't see in many other MIDI controllers, is this indication here of the knob parameter to know where is it set. So as you can see here, there are some LEDs that change based on the value of the knob, which is really handy, and it's very easy like that to know if you switch between different devices, different parameters, and it's jumping into that, so you can tell immediately what is the value of this knob, which is really cool. Okay, so let's talk a bit about my workflow and how I work with this controller to perform my music and arrange my track. So when I start, basically, I don't have the APC 40 Mark II connected to the computer. I will usually start by making some ideas first with a MIDI keyboard or some other thing, or just with a mouse. And the reason for that is because this thing is not really meant for creation. It's more on the performance side. There are some scripts to turn this section into step sequencer, but I'm not a big fan of that. I like to use it as it was intended, just for performing. So what I will do usually, I will start my idea in Ableton Live, and as you can see here, we have a very basic idea with 6 channels, 6 different channels. We have some drums here that I recorded from my Roland TR-8S, and these are recorded wave clips. As you can see here, I recorded different patterns and assigned them to different clips so I can control the progression. On channel 2 over here, we have a rec, and inside the rec, we have the ABL3. Now, one of the reasons I like to put my VST inside of a rec is because of the parameters over here that are aligned with the APC 40 Mark II. So that way, I don't need to think much about what is assigned to what, because this is mirroring what we have on the screen, so it's very easy for me to remember all the controls. So for example, I can control the cutoff or the resonance here, or the envelope mode, or the decay from the ABL3. And the way to do that is you can just select configure, and then, just by pressing on the different parameters of the ABL3, they will show up here. Now this is already assigned to that. So all I need to do here is now just right-click one of the parameters and assign them to be controlled by the macros here on the rec. One thing you need to make sure is that you see this hand symbol over here. This means that this rec is now controlled by the MIDI controller. But if the hand was here, it means it would ignore these parameters, and my controller now would control this. So if I turn this knob, you see the tunings is now changing instead of the cutoff. So you got to make sure that you have the hands showing up here. So usually what I will do, I will hide this so I don't make any mistakes and by mistake control the device and not control the rack itself. Now, just to give you an idea how these things work, I'm going to solo channel 2 and I'm going to activate this first clip over here. So we are listening now, we are hearing the ABL3 now being controlled. So since this knob is assigned to the cutoff, if I change this, I can control the cutoff from here, the resonance, and all the rest. Now let's say I choose to move to this track over here where I have the tal bass line, and I solo that. You see that now the control is changing immediately. So this is really cool and very convenient for me to work with. It's almost like having all these devices physically as a hardware. It really gives you that tactile experience. It really gives you that feeling that you're working DAW-less, even though you're working with the DAW. And since there are no screens and everything is very easy to remember, you can really focus on everything over here. So as I mentioned, since I'm starting the idea first in Ableton and I kind of know, where I want to go, what I want this track to feel like, how I want to sound like, I then connect the APC-40 Mark II. And the first thing I'm usually doing, taking all the faders and bringing them down to 0. And the reason I do that, and I do that also with the master, is because while the knobs are endless encoders and they can jump into the value, the fader is fixed, as you can see. So they're not motorized, so they cannot jump into the value, even though they can pick that value. And Ableton Live have this feature to allow you to pick up from a specific value while you move the faders. Personally, I prefer to reset everything because I don't know what was the setting from previously. Maybe I used it for a different session. Maybe I used it for something else. So I really want to start from scratch. And it's also giving me opportunity to balance all the levels and make sure I'm not picking and all the parts are getting the correct position in the mix. So once I moved all the faders to 0, I bring back the master all the way up. And I'm looking for a pick section inside my clips. And maybe we can see that here we have most of the clips playing. So I can play this section, this scene. And what I do now, I will bring the drums first because I want to make sure that the kick is very dominant in the track. So while I'm doing this, I'm also looking at the master and I'm making sure this is not picking. I'm not getting into the reds. And I will start to slowly bring the ABL3. And kind of balancing it by ear. And like that, I keep on bringing all the other parts. Now this one doesn't have a clip in the same scene, but for the purpose of resetting the faders, I can activate this one as well, and then I can bring it up. Okay, this sounds quite right for me, from what I want to achieve. I can always go back and fix stuff after I record, but for initial jam, I think this sounds good. I'll stop that. Now, you'll notice that I didn't touch these 2 faders. So one thing to know is that if you used all the 8 faders, then these 2 extra faders, they will control these channels. But since I used only 6 channels in this specific session, what's happening now is that the APC-40 Mark II assigned these 2 to the sends channels. So you got to make sure that you bring the sends back to 0. It's a mistake that I did in the past. So I wanted to highlight this so you won't make the same mistake in case you have less than 8 channels. Make sure you bring your send levels, and you can see while I move this up, I can bring them back to 0. And I don't need to really balance them with the rest because these are send channels. So they're not really gonna peak. They don't have much of gain inside them. But just to make sure, I'm gonna play everything together and look at my master level. Everything sounds pretty good for me. So what I'm going to do now is just gonna play around. I'm gonna play with ideas. I'm gonna stop all the clips and I'm going to start maybe with the kick. And then I'm gonna play with the ABL 303. I'm gonna move to control that. And I can play with the cutoff here. I can jump to different patterns just to get the vibe of my track. Now what I have also here on the drums, and let me just solo the drums so you can hear it clearly. So you can see I also have here on the drums some effects. So on top of the drums I put the chaos pad, and I'm controlling with the control here the pad X. If I bring up this one, so this is actually now working as a looper. So the chaos pad is a very famous classic multi-effects by Korg, and I'm using it here as a looper on top of the drums. So what I can do now, and I need to make sure again that this hand symbol is going to show up on the rec. I'm going to hide everything just to make sure I'm not making a mistake. And now this knob is controlling the loop. So if I turn this, I can actually in live control the effects. And this gives me another way to experiment, to express myself in the track. And you can use it to all different bunch of ideas. For example, another thing that I have here, and you can see, is that I have the auto filter, and I'm assigning the filter frequency and resonance to this macro. So you can assign more than one knob to the macro, which is really cool. And you can control everything from here. If I open this screen over here, you can see that the macro is now assigned to the device on, because I want to control also that the device is on and off, because I don't want the filter to be activated all the time. And it's also controlling the frequency, the cutoff, and it's also controlling the resonance. So let me close this and show you that now. And if I turn this knob, now pay attention on the auto filter, what is changing. I am lowering the filter cutoff, and in this case, this is the high pass filter, and I'm hiring up the resonance. And I'm also activating the filter at the same time. And it sounds like this when I play it. What I can also do is on top on that, when I play this effect, I can also bring with the send some reverb. So it gives me more flexibility with ideas, more flexibility with expressing myself with the track. From here, I just continue to bring clips, on and off, just to get the vibe of everything and see how it sounds. It's all about experimenting at this stage, just thinking about the track, how I want it to progress, the tension that I want to build once I decide to record. But again, I'm not committing to anything at this moment. Okay, let's say that I kind of know where I want to go with the track. I experimented with the different clips. I experimented with the flow. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop all the clips. I'm going to all my tracks, and I'm going to make sure that all my effects are resetted. I'm going to make sure that my settings for this different synthesizer are set to initial, the way I want them to start, because I don't want them to pick from, you know, from the cutoff like open all the way up. Maybe I want to start from the cutoff a bit close. Same for this channel here. Maybe I don't want the resonance to be all the way up. I want to progressively bring it in. So I'm going through the track just in making sure that everything is resetted. And I'm going to go all the way to the top here in the scene. So at this moment, now that I have everything assigned, everything is planned in a way, how I'm going to arrange my track, I'm going to change Ableton Live to the arrangement view. And in this view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the first scene and I'm going to stop it. And what I'm going to do now is going to press the record. Now, once I press this record button, you will hear the metronome. And then what Ableton will do is will record all the changes of the clips. So it's recording me launching and activating the clips. And it's also recording me moving all the knobs as automation. So all my performance is recorded as MIDI. Everything is being captured. And once I have this, I can come back to the track and I can do, you know, fix some of the things. Maybe I have some mistake. Maybe I want to put more stuff, more layers, more channels. Maybe I want to fix the mix, the balance. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do the initial recording just to show you how this works. And I'm going to show you what I do after that. You can see in Ableton Live how it's recording the clips. It's a bit faded out during the recording. And at this stage, I'm trying to get a feel of the track. I want to feel where the next scene should come. So I'm feeling now that maybe next scene should come at 17. So I then activate this one. And now we're getting the ABL3 recorded. And I can select this channel. And if I want, I can slowly bring the cutoff in. And now you see the automation is being recorded in Ableton Live. And I'm building the tension, I'm building my performance, I'm building the track to the next stage of it in which the kick gonna come in. And I continue to control, and I can do all this simultaneously while Ableton Live is recording all my performance. At this stage, there are no rules. It's all about your feeling. It's all about how you want to express your track, how you want to express the progression. I can come here and say, okay, I want to put some filter on the drums and put some reverb. And I remember all the things. I know that this knob over here, this is going to control the looper, the one from the Chaos pad. So I can time it to. And I did some mistake over there. I wanted to loop the kick, but it's okay. I can fix it after I finish the recording. Okay, let's say we recorded. I will put a link to the full performance. I'm not going to record the full performance right now. I just want to show this for demonstration. So once we have this recorded in Ableton Live, I can deactivate this button here. This button actually is telling Ableton Live to use the session view, but we're not using the session view because now we recorded to rearrangement. So we want to deactivate all the clips. So I can click on that and then it's bring us to the arrangement view. And in this view, we can see all our recorded clips and all our automation Right here, you can see the filter of the ABL3, and over here, you can see the chaos pad. And as I mentioned to you when I recorded the chaos pad, and maybe let's solo this track. I actually wanted to loop the kick. I didn't really want to loop the hi-hat. So I can now come here and correct this. And this is just for demonstration. So let's see. And I can even come here and change the when it's going to be finished, the loop. So as you can see, even though I recorded, nothing is committed. Everything can be corrected because this is MIDI and everything can be fixed, basically. What I can also do now is, beside adding channel and also fixing the mixer for balance, you know, all the regular stuff, I can also come here now, and since I have the basic track arranged, and you know what, maybe let's listen to it from the beginning. So I can show you how we recorded all the track progression. And you know, maybe I'm not happy that the kick just start like this out of nowhere. Maybe I want to give it some drum roll before that. So I take this and I duplicate it. And maybe this is not such a great idea, but just for demonstration, I just want to show you how you can, you know, come back to the track and put some other stuff, add to it. And it saves a lot of time because I don't need to do the initial fundamental of the track manually. And not just that, it's give the track more organic feel. It's more expressive because I recorded it live. You know, if I would do the same thing with a mouse, it may not sound the same. And you can see here, if I open, you see here how the cutoff is being modulated and automated based on my performance. And it's really as simple as that. After I have all my track recorded, after I added all the ear candy and corrected all the balances on all the channels, I will usually go to my master, to my main channel, put some mastering effect. In this case, I put the Ozone 10 on top of it. I also have here a chaos pad. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I won't, but sometimes I like to put some effect on the master channel, like a filter or something, just to make it more interesting. And yeah, it's basically as simple as that. I think the APC 40 Mark II really transformed the way I make music with Ableton Live. It changed the feel, it changed the expression of my tracks, and I really use it a lot just to build those basic, the fundamental of the tracks, and you know, improve on that later on. Sometimes I can even get everything in one take. I don't even need to add channel. I don't need to correct stuff. But having this initial thought, initial idea, and being able to arrange it organically, like we are recording inside a recorder, this is really powerful. And this is something that really makes me appreciate the APC 40 Mark II. And I think it's one of the best MIDI controllers in my opinion. And it's also very affordable. If you are using Ableton Live, yeah, the push tree is new. It's exciting. It can even go standalone, but it's super expensive. And it's also, you know, you don't get the faders, you don't get all these knobs like you're getting here. So for me, this works much better. This works almost like an old school mixer. This really reminds me of the old school, and you know how much I love the old school stuff. And it gives me the amount of control that I really need to perform my tracks. So yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites MIDI controllers. That's it for today. Thank you for watching. That was about the APC 4D Mark II. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something. And let me know in the comment, what do you think about this MIDI controller? Are you using it the same? Are you using it differently? What do you think about it? Still relevant today when we have the Ableton Push 3 and some other modern MIDI controllers? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe to my channel. I share regularly on hardware and software and my process for making music. And I hope to see you next time.